Snowboarding is a winter sport that involves descending a snow-covered slope while standing on a board attached to the rider's feet. It has its origins in the 1960s, when a few individuals began experimenting with ways to ride down snow-covered hills using various types of boards. The history of snowboarding can be traced back to the early versions of the sport, where people used wooden planks or skis to slide down the snow-covered hills. These early versions were not very successful and often resulted in accidents. However, it was these early attempts that laid the foundation for the development of the modern snowboard. In the 1960s and 1970s, pioneers of the sport such as Tom Sims and Jake Burton Carpenter began experimenting with different designs, materials, and bindings, which led to the creation of the first modern snowboards. These early snowboards were very different from the ones we use today, but they were the starting point for the sport's evolution. As snowboarding began to gain popularity in the 1980s and 1990s, it faced a lot of resistance from ski resorts and traditional skiers. Snowboarders had to fight for recognition and acceptance at ski resorts, but as the sport grew in popularity, more and more ski resorts began to welcome snowboarders. Today, snowboarding has become a mainstream sport and has even been included in the Olympics. The sport has evolved to include many different disciplines such as freeriding, freestyling, and alpine snowboarding, and has produced many stars and legends such as Shaun White and Hannah Tita, who have pushed the limits of what is possible on a snowboard. The earliest known instances of snowboarding can be traced back to the early 20th century, where people used wooden planks or skis to slide down the snow-covered hills. These early versions of the sport were not very successful and often resulted in accidents. However, it was these early attempts that laid the foundation for the development of the modern snowboard. In the 1960s and 1970s, a few individuals began experimenting with different designs and materials to create a more efficient and safer way of riding down the snow. Some of the pioneers of the sport during this time include Tom Sims and Jake Burton Carpenter. Tom Sims, often referred to as the father of snowboarding, began experimenting with snowboard designs in the 1960s using a combination of skis and surfboard. He created the first snowboard that had bindings and was able to ride down the mountain on it. He also started the first snowboard company, Sims Snowboards, in 1977. Jake Burton Carpenter, another pioneer of the sport, began experimenting with snowboard designs in the 1970s. He created the first Burton snowboards and began producing snowboards commercially in 1977. He was also instrumental in developing the modern snowboard bindings and promoting the sport. These pioneers, along with others, were responsible for developing the first modern snowboards and pushing the boundaries of what was possible on a snowboard. They helped lay the foundation for the sport and paved the way for future generations of snowboarders. In the 1980s and 1990s, snowboarding began to gain popularity as a new and exciting winter sport. During this time, snowboarders faced resistance and discrimination from ski resorts, who saw snowboarding as a nuisance and a liability. Snowboarders had to fight for recognition and acceptance at ski resorts, often being banned from the slopes and facing hostility from skiers. Despite the challenges, snowboarding continued to grow in popularity, and the sport's growth was further accelerated by the introduction of the Winter X Games in 1997. The Winter X Games, an annual extreme sports competition featuring snowboarding and other winter sports, brought snowboarding to a wider audience and helped to establish it as a legitimate and respected sport. The Winter X Games also helped to promote the sport by featuring top snowboarders and showcasing the latest tricks and innovations in the sport. Other competitions, such as the US Open Snowboarding Championships and the Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships, also played a key role in the sport's growth by providing a platform for snowboarders to compete and showcase their skills. The rise of these competitions also helped to attract sponsors and investment into the sport, which led to the development of new and better equipment and increased support for professional snowboarders. In the present day, snowboarding has become a mainstream sport, with a diverse range of disciplines and a global following. The sport has grown in popularity, and has become one of the most accessible and inclusive winter sports. The modern snowboarding scene includes a variety of disciplines such as freeriding, freestyle, and alpine snowboarding. Freeriding involves riding on natural terrain, such as backcountry and powder, while freestyle snowboarding is focused on performing tricks in a terrain park or halfpipe. Alpine snowboarding, also known as parallel giant slalom, is a racing discipline that is similar to alpine skiing. One of the most significant developments in the modern snowboarding scene is its inclusion in the Winter Olympics. Snowboarding made its debut as a demonstration sport in the 1998 Nagano Olympics and has been a medal event since the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics. The inclusion of snowboarding in the Olympics has helped to bring the sport to a global audience, and has helped to establish it as a legitimate and respected sport. Currently, snowboarding has a number of stars and legends that continue to push the boundaries of the sport. Shaun White, also known as the Flying Tomato, is a three-time Olympic gold medalist and a multiple X Games champion. He is considered one of the greatest snowboarders of all time, known for his unlimited pace and competitive success.